I made $1 million and lost $1 million in back-to-back days. like that.
How does that happen?
It was getting kind of squeezy. This was like right after the GameStop thing in January. It's like February or March or something like that. And I think they had a high short interest ratio. Maybe they were getting a squeeze. So I kind of rode this wave up to like 70%. And the next day, kind of lost it all like really, really quickly.
What percentage of your net worth was that at the time to gain $1 million and lose it in 2 days?
This is 100%. 100%. I had no.
But you didn't go down to zero.
No. Well, my style is I would go all in one single stock at a time. No margin, no options, no crypto, right? Like I don't touch anything that could, in theory, go to zero overnight, right? If you're invested in like 100% invested in a single stock, in a good stock, like a good company is legit, the worst is like maybe a 20% drop on earnings or something like that, right? And so that was kind of mentality I had that like, I was working at a very stable job at Google, making like $300,000 a year, right? And I had this 401k that I couldn't touch until I'm 65.
Yeah.
And so why not just keep YOLOing it? And it just kept working, right? I just kept going all in, one stock at a time, chasing bounces, chasing earnings reports. I mean, this was 2020 to 21, right? So like everything went up. I mean, there were definitely some big losses there too. But for the most part, yeah, I just kept doing that all the way to 10 million.
Why do so many people fail to do what you've done?
Yeah.
Because there's just as many people I've seen on Wall Street Bets who
go
all in on something and then they post this loss showing 95%. It's like, I got to quit.
100%. I mean, a lot of that is because they're chasing the really quick gains, right? With zero DTE options, these things can literally go to zero overnight. I have a couple of rules that are very strict that I follow, right? No margin, don't chase the stock. Like a lot of people love chasing whatever the hot stock is, but you have to realize like once you hear about the stock, most often it's probably already run up a lot and it kind of loses the support, right? Like all of a sudden people could be taking profit, you could be down, you essentially bought the top. If you notice in my track record, like I never bought, Tesla back then, right? And I, even in this current run, I never bought NVIDIA. Like these are great companies, like they will continue to go up, but I don't like chasing. Because in theory, it could drop and then you could lose out a lot. I'm what they call a swing trader, right? So I try to buy near support. And the worst case scenario is it's just going to bobbles to the side. And then if some catalyst hits or some good use happens, it'll rise up, sell for 20% profit, and just keep doing that again and again.
Do you think you could recreate what you've done back then today?
That's exactly what I'm trying to do right now. So I restarted my new 35K challenge account in Robinhood. And in the last few weeks, it's already up to the 52K. So I've gotten lucky on some plays. It's up 50%. And I think in this current environment, yeah, it's a swing trader's wet dream. It's so volatile. It's so narrative driven by headlines. And if you're, my forte is I'm spending like all day on X these days, right? Which is kind of like the new CNBC or Wall Street is where all the talk is happening. If you kind of stay on top of where sentiment is, I think you can make a lot of money swing trading.
How much do you feel is skill versus luck?
It's both, right? Like I was incredibly lucky to have tried this style of trading during 2020 to 21. Like that's just incredible luck, right? But at the same time, not everyone made 285x in 21 months. Like that's an insane number.
No.
And so there was definitely some skill involved. I mean, if I had a skill, it would probably be my ability to just kind of digest like so much content. Like I was on Wall Street Bets and other subreddits every day, reading all the comments. Not just like the whatever's trending in the funny pictures. Like I was reading all the comments because it's a hive mind, right? Like the market, like I'm not a technicals guy. I'm not a fundamentals guy. I've actually never even run like a discounted cash flow in my entire life. Like I understand sentiment. I believe the market is based on sentiment. So I try to predict where sentiment is going, right? And what companies are riding off of these waves. And I think that's even more so important today.
So if you trade off of sentiment, that sounds kind of similar to social arbitrage, which is a trading strategy we've explored on this podcast quite heavily with Chris Camillo a few times. And he's famously ran like 20,000 up to whatever it is now, $100 million. I'm curious, in order to understand the general sentiment and the direction the sentiment is headed, what are the main things that you look for?
I call myself a vibe trader now because that's essentially what I'm doing. I'm just like trying to catch the vibes. The main things I'm looking for is a story, right? A narrative, a solid thesis, both in the short term and in the long term, right? The long term provides, it's a good company, right? I don't think like there's all these like mini narratives like, oh, GME is going to do something crazy tomorrow. Like, I'm not sure what the long-term future for GameStop is, right? But for a neo-cloud, like my current all-in 𝗪𝗧, 𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗧, Sharon AI, it's a neo-cloud based in Australia, right? And there's just so many narratives, so much potential catalyst, so much potential good news that could come any day about, a potential Anthropic deal, right? With 𝗪𝗧, or NVIDIA investment into 𝗪𝗧 because data centers are just so important to the AI infrastructure build out right now. And so that's kind of what I look for. I look for, it's a good company with a good long-term future, but also a potential catalyst and good news that could pop up any day or any short term.
If you're trying to replicate your strategy, like where are the main places you should be pulling information from?
X wins by far now, right? It's where, because not only does it have all the big financial accounts posting breaking news as soon as it happens, but you have a lot of real traders doing deep dives, posting their trade receipts. And I think that matters a lot. That's what you're missing on Reddit. You don't know who people are on Reddit, right? Like I was very unique. I had a very unique posting style and username. So people gradually kind of get to know who Sir Jack was. But for the most part, these usernames are completely anonymous, right? It's hard to follow people between comments versus on Twitter, you have an actual profile. You can follow someone's winning trade and their logic and how much money they put in. And that kind of adds a lot of value to the actual content that they're saying. In terms of like how I identify real swing trades, I have a very tiny watch list I'm constantly monitoring. So I have like 5 stocks on my watch list right now. And every day I'm just looking at like, are they up? Are they down? Who's talking about them? What stuff is coming up with them? And I'm basically trying to figure out try to tune my cause and effect in my head, right? Like if you think this news is good for data centers, why is or isn't this stock going up, right? And then once it's at a decent enough floor or some news is coming up like next week, right? Like I also subscribe to the philosophy of buy the rumor, sell the news. And this is basically when, something potentially interesting is coming up. Could be an earnings report, could be an announcement or whatever. And there's usually a run up into the actual news event, right? So for earnings is a good example. There's a lot of earnings coming up. A lot of companies run up to earnings. And so if I see a stock that I'm like, oh yeah, has good, a lot of people I think has good earnings next week, I might buy today and, ride that wave into the earnings.
What was the most you've ever made on a single trade?
Now, most people think forming an LLC is just about filling out one form and calling it a day, but there's a lot more to it than that. And if you skip the rest, your LLC isn't really set up the way it needs to be. That is why we have partnered with Northwest Registered Agent.
For $39 plus state fees, Northwest handles the state filing and makes sure you have everything you actually need: your operating agreement, membership certificates, and banking resolutions.
Without those documents, you might be registered with the state, but you're not really ready to operate because banks, vendors, and partners expect to see them.
Plus, you get a free domain, website, email, and phone number when you file your LLC through Northwest, which means your business is ready to operate right away.
And your home address never goes on the public record. Northwest uses their own address on your filing instead of yours.
So if you want your LLC done right the first time, just go to northwestregisteredagent.com/ICH to get started.
It's northwestregisteredagent.com/ICH, or click the link down below in the description to get your LLC filed.
Thank you, Northwest Registered Agent, for sponsoring this episode. What was the most you've ever made on a single trade?
Big 5 sporting goods, BGFV.
How did you find that?
Oh my God. This was on Wall Street Bets, and literally someone who I decently respected, I had commented back and forth with him before, literally just suggested it to me, right? Like mentioned me. It's like, hey, you should look into Big 5. They just did like a special dividend, right? And they had good earnings or something like that, right? And that was it. I was like, oh, that's a good potential play. And so I full ported, I think.
Wait, that was it?
Yeah.
That was all of the due diligence.
I did my own research and whatever like that, but it wasn't.
Okay, but I want the viewer to understand, when you say did my own research, to them that could either mean 5 minutes or it could mean like 5 days.
Yeah.
So you heard about this information. You didn't just hear from some stranger that you should full port into Big 5 sporting goods, because if we say that publicly, then people are going to try to replicate the strategy. But I want them to see transparently what it was actually like for someone that made, how much money did you make on this trade?
Probably 1.7 million.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
what
are we doing, Jack?
I full ported like $6 billion into this stock.
$6 million?
Yeah. I think I owned like 1.5% or something at that time.
Okay, so walk us through the amount of due diligence. How long? Let's just say how many hours did you spend before you put $6 million in?
So normally all the diligence happens right before the trade ever happens, right? Like I basically keep a constant background process of like all these stocks. I'm constantly watching them, I'm constantly scanning the news. I'm getting familiar with them over time. And then kind of like, I feel like I call it like a limitless moment where like just everything kind of clicks like all at once. Right. And so for that one, it was the fact that they had a special dividend and it spiked like 20% on a day. There were so many comments about this, and also volume ticked up. Right. So one thing I really, really care a lot about is increasing volume, like on the candlestick charts. Right. Looking at
what does increased volume tell you?
More people are caring about this. There's
And volume can be, it's like just transactions. So it's buyers and sellers at the same time.
correct. Yeah. But generally, increasing volume is a good thing. It just means more market participants are entering this stock, are caring about this stock, and there's more room for growth, usually in a positive direction.
Yeah, but you bought in once it already went up 20%?
Yes, bought it when it already went up 20%. I think the next catalyst was the actual special dividend that was coming up, right? And so I basically rode that extra wave. So it was a little bit risky. Sometimes I like to try to catch stocks while they're kind of boring and haven't bounced yet. But sometimes I also try to catch stocks like right at that first bounce to see like how far the wave goes.
So how many hours of research should the average person do before they go all in or even buy an individual stock?
If I were to be honest, like I've definitely gone into stocks with just like, only an hour of research, especially these days with AI, right? Like you could ask your favorite agent or ChatGPT, just like, give me the bull case, give me the bear case, tell me everything that's happened recently, right? And sometimes that's your perspective. That's like everything you need to know.
What would Warren Buffett have to say about this?
Well, okay. So look, I'm a swing trader, right? I'm not an investor. Like recently I made a post that I said like there's three ways to use your money to make money. You could be gambling, you could be trading, or you could be investing, right? And they have different risk profiles, different return profiles. I don't endorse gambling at all, right? I never touch, meme coins. I never touch option, margin, leverage products, even prediction market, sports betting. I've never made a sports bet in my life, right? Because that could just go to zero all of a sudden, right? And maybe it's okay for the $20, but like when you're like with serious money, no. So investing, right? Warren Buffett is an investor, right? These are long-term holds. You believe in the company. You can go to sleep. You can go on vacation. You could be in a coma for 10 years and you're still fine holding the company, right? Right now I'm also an investor. My 401k is $5 million in SPY, $5 million in QQQ, and about $1 million in DRAM, which is this ETF of memory chip companies. Because they're diversified. Index funds are good for that, lowering risk. And there's Warren Buffett actually has another quote that's like, concentration makes wealth, diversification keeps it, right? So if you are in that point of that stage in your life where you're looking for to maximize gains, you're willing to put in the energy and effort to try to stay on top of sentiment, and depending on your own personal finance situation, right? Like again, I was making $300K at Google. Like I could afford to YOLO my 401k that I couldn't touch anyways. I think it's worth spending more time and energy in trading and finding those single stocks that you think you have a fairly good picture of like how it's going to perform over the next few days, weeks, months.